I was born to two parents, Adrien and Banda. They got married in 1996. They had me in 1999. I guess from the onset, it was a rocky marriage. My full name is Mzati, which means our pillar of support. When I was born, I was supposed to be like some saving grace for their marriage. Yeah, we were a pretty fairly middle-class family, and we lived a pretty decent life. I think growing up as a kid, I could always tell that there were issues in my mom and dad's marriage. So I had a happy childhood, soccer and cartoons, but like I obviously knew like my dad wasn't happy and my mom was frustrated with him. He used to drink a lot. Well, in 2006, my mom went away to Australia to get her master's degree in international development, and my dad stayed in Malawi. And then in 2008, my mom came back to pick us up to take us to Australia for her last year of her master's program so we could live with her. And at the airport, my dad and her are meeting, and they ended on a handshake. And I was like, yep, the deal is done. These people are getting divorced sometime. Like, I ended up staying in Australia with my mom. We lived in Adelaide, South Australia for a year. And while we were in Australia, my mom told me that my dad had gotten married to someone else. And we came back to Malawi 2009, and everything was different. My mom and dad weren't living together, so we lived with my mom. We never saw my dad. All he ever did was supposedly pay our school fees until he stopped. And I wouldn't say we were poor, because if you know Malawian poverty, obviously I was eating most nights and going to a decent school. But we'll definitely because my mom wanted us to get a good education and she was punching above her weight. We couldn't afford a very good life. We live in an unfinished house because she didn't have the money to finish it, but it's the only piece of property she had. And she would work maybe 4 jobs. My mom just didn't have the finances to put us into a good school, or the schools that we were going to. So I showed up in America August 2017. It was a 43-hour flight because my mom's cheap. Coming into Huntington, I already knew I couldn't pay for Huntington, so it was more of a walk by faith type thing. And the school requires you to declare your bank statement if you can pay. We got my mom's friend, my aunt, because my mom does not have $10K in her bank account. So we got my mom's friend to write us a statement and we gave it in. She borrowed money from different banks and friends to get me here, and basically took on a lot of debt upon herself to get me here. I pulled through in Indianapolis. My IT teacher and his wife from back home in Malawi, who are natives of Huntington, pull up. They take me from the airport. It's all dark, so I can't really see anything, but in my head I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in America. I made it out of Malawi. This is gonna be awesome. I bet every building's huge. The cars are all fancy. And the next day I wake up to Huntington. And it's definitely not what you imagine it would be. That first day I go and meet my coach, and the man's like, are you ready for practice this afternoon? I'm like, bro, I don't even have a pair of boots. Yeah, I go to practice that afternoon. It was a terrible practice. I just remember my legs hurting the whole time. And I meet the whole team. I met Val, one of my best friends, Noah Stanford, Cam Manning as well, all on that same day. The first time you step on campus, at least as a soccer player, you already have a family. First semester went by like a breeze. It was really easy. School wasn't hard. A lot of girls to talk to. Second semester hit. It was the second payment and HU wanted their money, and I just didn't have the money. They're sending me emails every day. I'm meeting with Luke McConnell, the admissions counselor who got me here basically low-key, and he's telling me if you don't get the money, we're gonna kick you out basically. We're gonna buy you a plane ticket within the week. My uncle prior to this had promised to give in $1,000 to help out with my tuition, and my roommate had already given me $900. So I already had some money coming in, but it wasn't enough to get the extra load off. And it's the last weekend. I'm I'm gonna be back on a 43-hour plane ride on Monday. And that Monday, coach calls me in for another meeting, and I'm like, yep, this is the guillotine. So I go in there. He's straight to the point. He sits me down. He's like, I've talked to the coaching staff. and some of the players and the leadership core, and we want to keep you around. So the program has decided to give you $2,300, which with all the other money you've gotten should add up to the tuition that you owe. And that's basically the only reason I'm still here. Huntington just isn't home. Malawi is not great, but when you grow up there, you just love it. It's just a weird way to put it. I just don't know the area. People will be like, let's go here. And I'm like, the hell is that? You lose like mobility, you know, when you're in your own home, you know where everything is, you know how to get around, you know who to trust, who not to trust. It's hard to like get certain things because they're all so different from me, but they're the same to each other. Being here, particularly like having to work almost all the time during breaks and stuff to make ends meet and somewhat pay for school as much as I can, it gets boring after a while. Of course, like the work's not supposed to be fun, and the job I have isn't like walk around money or something, but yeah, I mean, just not being able to go back home and see my mom or my grandparents, like life happens. You never know if like mom's gonna call you and something's unfortunate has happened to your grandparent or something and you're just not there because you're 4,000 miles away.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. How old are you now? Too old. How old are you now? Happy birthday, happy birthday.
Here I eat every day. I sleep with electricity that stays on all night. I shower with hot water every day. These were things back home even I wouldn't have as a fairly well-off Malawian. When you grow up in a place like Malawi where you see really poor people every day, I don't know, I guess you like in a weird way have a thankfulness for problems like tuition at a very expensive private college in America, you know? It's a big deal, obviously, and it feels very big when you're going through it, but at the same time, it's not the biggest deal.